Hi, my name's Carol Ricard, and welcome to this episode of the I Am Not Cancer show. I am super excited tonight because I am joined by a very special guest, Nancy Novack, and I'm just going to bring her on. And so, welcome, Nancy.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Let,
you.
let everybody know where you're tuning in from.
I'm turning to the hottest place on earth next to Death Valley. It's like I'm in Austin, Texas, and it's about every day for the past 10 days or more than that. It's been in upper hundreds, and we're just sweltering away. But so far, the power grid is working. So
Yeah.
we're living we learn to adjust, don't we, in this world?
Yeah, just to sort of adapt there. But yes, it is incredible the temperature that
All over. Yeah.
Which is not a usual kind of thing for you. I mean, I know Texas gets hot.
Texas is nutty, with their weather, but it's another ongoing like this. And it's dangerous. I mean, it's dangerous to be out there. I go swimming early in the morning and then I feel like I've done something, but you really want to be inside as much as you can because it's
about all that you can do, Well, thank you so much. I mean, our second try is turning out to work. I swear, when we were trying to do this, it was the summer solstice, because even that night I was trying to get on a computer on a program, and it was messed up too. So I'm just so glad. Thank you so much for making the time.
Okay, I'm glad to be here with you.
So, so what I love to ask people that are, kind of visiting the show is just to share a little bit about themselves and what their life was like really before cancer touched it. And I'd like to invite you to do that with us.
Okay. In 2004, I can't even believe this, I was living in Mill Valley, which is a little town just north of San Francisco, right over the Golden Gate Bridge, having a wonderful time. I was a clinical psychologist and working with a variety of special people in my life, as you do in psychology. And I was fine. And then on this particular day that I was diagnosed, I had a tummy ache on the right side of my belly for a few days. And I went to my internist and said, I don't know what this is. I think I have appendicitis. Can we check? So she gave me an exam and immediately sent me out to for a CAT scan. And I was happily naive about cancer, or I didn't know what a CAT scan was. And I came back and we waited, and then she called me and she said, okay, you want the good news or the bad news? And I said, the good news. So she told me I didn't have appendicitis. I said, Jippy, thank you. I'm great to go. Then I started to get up and leave, She said, I need to tell you the bad news. And she said, you have stage 4 ovarian cancer, and it's metastasized to your liver, which is about the size of a small watermelon, and your ovary is the size of an orange or grapefruit or something. Like, I'm in this body and I don't even know that. I mean, like, come on. I live in California. I'm fairly conscious. I eat the right food. I didn't even know that. So the usual MO is a thing called debulking. But as they're preparing to do this surgery, which is really a tough surgery, it's so serendipity, I can hardly tell you, but I was swept away to Stanford by a friend who said, this is where you're going. And I met this amazing doctor who saved my life. This was 18 years ago, 2004, yeah. And we started, and there was no surgery. We just started serious, aggressive chemo. And he said, you're too sick for surgery, which didn't sound good. And I went through it. And I had an unusual, it's a very transformational experience for me, because all of a sudden I felt like I was being cared for in a very extraordinary way by strangers. And I called it the generosity of strangers. And I entrusted my life to these people who embraced me and took such care of me. And yes, my friends and family were amazing, but my doctor was just the most trusting, trustworthy, special, psychologically minded doctor I have ever known. So we got through this, but during that time, we like to talk when we're psychologists. So would talk to everybody I could talk to about what their experience was, and found out something very, very disturbing to me was that most of the people I talked to weren't so afraid of living and dying as they were afraid of not having the money to get care. And this led me to say, I vow that if I get through this experience, I'm going to go find the money for these people and everybody else who can't afford cancer treatment. And one man said to me, I'm considering suicide because I'm a burden to my family financially. And that was over the top. This was California. This was the United States. This is not okay. So that's how my project started, was looking for the money. And it was profoundly important to me to make a difference right then. I was so fortunate to have survived ovarian cancer, and I began to know it. I didn't know a thing that was such a big deal, but then I began to know it, and I wanted to give back. So that's where I began.
Wow. You know what? So you had these little guardian angels, that came into your life.
Definitely. Yeah,
You
I appreciated it. And it was, one of the things that I'm always working with people that are grieving is, let's go to the gratitude side. Let's see what. And I think that came from my own experience. And I deeply, was committed to sharing that, sharing what I learned.
Yeah. And well, it's interesting you say gratitude, because I kind of, had some guardian angels as well, who were cancer survivors, 20-year breast cancer survivors. And I thought to myself, oh my God, this was back in the late 1999, that these women, when cancer treatment wasn't even near what it is today.
Right.
But remember, they told me, Carol, it's all about your mindset.
Yes.
And for me, gratitude was a critical, I don't know if it was a tool of the trade, but it really was such an important part of my journey as well.
I think it's so interesting because so many people send me their websites or send me their projects and to review and evaluate and stuff. And we'll go into that a little bit more. But I mean, it was like, what's missing so often is the body, mind, and mind, body, mind, whatever, as well, just the psychological implications of going through a critical, life determining experience. And there are many of them, but just like when it's your turn, what are you going to do with it? And how are you going to incorporate the spirit and all the strengths and the resilience that we all have. We just don't always tap into them because we don't need to. But when we need to, it's the way out, and so I think, when I think of the work you do with stress, and I think of all the stresses that come with a cancer diagnosis, and I think that stress is in the way of healing, and why I got caught up in the financial thing as a starter is like, these people are living with such stress. How can they possibly attend to their healing? And that wasn't okay with me. So that was the beginning of what's now a 16-year-old project that I'm very proud of. Yeah.
Yeah. It really was kind of born out of the need, and combining your life experience with, knowing what you'd had to be grateful for, wanting other people to be grateful and have that same kind of opportunity.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I didn't know Mill Valley, was where you're from,
Pretty.
because my sister lived somewhere near there for many,
Oh,
many years.
oh,
Um,
so beautiful. Yes.
yeah, and it was just absolutely wonderful area. I got to go visit her one time.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
beautiful.
and you know what struck me though about listening to your story there was that here everybody had you going to surgery.
Well,
You know,
that's the there's so that was the protocol, and it's a very serious protocol. My
yeah,
sister developed ovarian later, and she did robotic surgery, which is a new way of dealing with this. It didn't work for her, but she was so weakened by that procedure that she really never got well enough to do the chemo, and she struggled so hard, and she passed away 2 years ago. And it was just, I always was trying to convince her to do it my way because it worked, but sisters, they don't always do what you want them to do. um,
so
but
true, so
but
true.
that's the way they're doing it now. My oncologist, who I'm still in contact with, sometimes has said to me, they are now looking at doing chemo first and then give that a try, and then they can go in and do the refinements, if there's more cancer that they didn't get to, rather than wiping these women out.
Yep.
So they're just too weakened,
Right.
and that's been another cause celeb, but I decided I only have so many, and I'm not gonna change minds on this because but it was I always thought that saved my life to do
Yeah,
it the way we did it.
yeah, and the truth of the matter is that in the past, even in the past 10 years, chemotherapy treatments have, definitely gotten better, I want to say. And really, I know for me that I did have surgery, and and interestingly, I did have the robotic
Hmm. Hmm.
surgery as well, which I have to say, compared to somebody going in and cutting up my whole, stomach in this way, it was a real chore for recovery. I mean, it was really
After the
exhausting.
robotics, yeah.
Yeah, and I would have actually had chemo and radiation if I hadn't gone to my third consult.
So
Because
you never had the radiation?
no, no. Interestingly enough, when I went to my third consult and I just paid attention to my gut, the first place didn't feel comfortable. The second place started comfortable, but then it shifted. And I just was like, you know what? And then a girlfriend of mine said, Carol, go for another consultation. I called my insurance. I said, can I go?
Oh, yeah.
And they said, yeah. And lo and behold, I went to Sloan Kettering because I'm out here on the East Coast.
Smart.
And truth
Well,
was,
that's
I almost
that's
didn't have to
what
have
I
surgery
always
at
say to
all.
people, because people call me and say, "Oh, I can't stand my doctor. I can't talk to him." I say, "Get the another doctor."
Yeah,
You know, there are many, many very brilliant doctors out there who also have a personality, who also will listen to you, and you need to be heard right now.
yeah,
Find If you can't find it, I'll find one for you. And if you don't like your hospital, pick a teaching hospital. Why not? They're doing the latest and the greatest, and it's like these are the places where you do have control. A lot of our cancer experiences we have little control over,
yeah,
but when we do, and I think my relationship with my doctor was so profound in that he trusted me, I trusted him, I told him everything. When my sister was going through it, she wasn't telling him anything. She was doing all this other kind of goo, mistletoe and this and that and everything, but she never told. And they didn't know if the treatment was working or she was doing something else. So if you can't be honest with your doctor, move on.
find one. You're absolutely right. And my sister, who's a breast cancer survivor, has wholeheartedly embraced, an integrative approach, and the mistletoe and the vitamin C and the
Oh my goodness.
ozone and all these wonderful kinds of tools that are out there. And
Hmm.
she was completely honest and kind of even to the point where, she was ready to turn and walk away when he wanted to increase her chemo. And she just said, well, let's wait and see how this is working.
Mhm.
So, but I think your point is so important. And that is that we have to feel trust in our provider. And really that relationship is really so critical
It's
to
like
our own
you're putting
well-being.
your hands, you're putting your life into someone else's hands that you just met. There's no history to our experience with these people. And it's just like we've got to trust our instincts and our intuition. Is this the right person? Am I going to have the kind of I learned more about what trust is about in that relationship than I ever really learned, before. And and it kept better and better. I have to tell one story because it's so special. The first night, and I'm in a room at Stanford, and I'm sort of like, what's going on around me? Where am I? I could hardly breathe. And he said, well, and my family and loved ones were all running, in the room. And when everybody goes home tonight and you're flipping out about what happened to you today, I want you to call me. Here's my home phone number. Call me. And I called him at 2:30 in the morning. And he was as generous and as gracious in that phone call of just bringing me down, telling me he'd be there at 6:00, and we go over everything that I was thinking about and get moving. How many doctors, I've never heard of a doctor who said, here's my home phone number, call me anytime, and I knew he meant it. That's the point. I knew he meant it. And he was so connected already, like in a few hours of knowing him, that I just did it. I felt like I don't usually do things like that at 2:30 in the morning, call my buddies, but I did it. And he understood me, and that's, I think, so critical to what the whole experience is about. My sister didn't have that experience, and that's always made me very sad. And, I just wanted for anybody to have that relationship, because I think relationship heals.
Yes. And you know what? And well, what's interesting to me is that I'm thinking about, your career prior to this, kind of detour,
Big
and
detour.
how you, provided that relationship to other people, and so being the person that knows the importance of that, I think that is such another incredibly important point, that our relationship can either foster the healing and the wellness, or it can kind of detract from it, I believe.
And be a source of stress.
Yeah.
And I want people to get rid of all the stress in their life. I want to clean up their bedrooms. I want to have the bedroom pretty as can be, with no clutter, just so you can be quiet. You don't have to be distracted by junk on the floor. I want the time. It's cleansing time. It's cleansing time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say that, because one of the first shows that we did here on the I Am Not Cancer show, I have a girlfriend who had put together a talk for a cancer group in Florida. She was an interior designer.
Perfect.
and that is exactly what we talked about, was your physical space and how that can affect your well-being.
It's a sanctuary. You're going to spend a lot of time in your bedroom.
Yeah.
When people ask me, how can I gift somebody? I say, get them brand new linens, get them brand new, beautiful bedding in whatever their favorite color is, clean up that room, sparkle it plenty, because it's going to be where you live a lot of your time. And why not make it a sanctuary?
It becomes a nurturing environment.
Right. And that it serves you, rather than you spending time going, I got to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Nancy, I want you to talk a little bit more about the, kind of the organization and how that's evolved, for you over the years. I mean, I know you could talk for hours. Actually,
okay,
we
so
have about 9 minutes left, believe it or not.
Okay, here goes. I'll talk really fast. I called it Nancy's List. I got my 501c3 nonprofit status. I called it Nancy's List, and I gave it that name because someone said, everyone in politics has Emily's list, everyone in house cleaning has Angie's list, and now those people with cancer have Nancy's list. And it really is a comprehensive resource in so many different ways for those who are living with cancer, for the healing professionals who deal with, and for your family and friends who care and love you. So it's Nancy's List, NANCYS, list, LIST.org. A big chunk of it is about financial resources and what you can access. And I wanted everyone to know that. I wanted patient navigators to know where they can send people for financial resource, for financial support. There's a huge section about integrative therapies that Carol and I have been talking about, are things that deepen the healing process, that complement that. So there's a whole directory, national directory, international directory of people who are looking for complementary integrative approaches, because as we say, it's not just the infusion that gets you well. You have to take care of your body, your mind, your spirit. So there are all kinds of people and places you can access. Everyone is working virtually right now. There's a lot of stories of healing. There's a lot of stories of gratitude and hope. There's projects that I've done, like when I did a project in California for kids who were living with cancer and for their parents and loved ones. And we went on adventures every weekend. So they could be more than just cancer kids. They had good times. So it's a very, it's got just about, the ways to really deepen the healing journey, as well as to mitigate some of the stresses that come with cancer. And check it out and see if it has any value to you. What I love so much when I have these resources, it's like the retreats and the camps and the vacations that are all for free for people who are living with cancer. And no one knows this stuff. So I want to share what I've researched with you, with anyone you love, because we can get through this experience together. But we need to make it available. People need the information of what else you can do rather than go to your doctor and get it, chemo treatment. So I hope that's helpful.
Oh my God. Well, there's one other thing you didn't mention.
What?
And I actually meant to bring I keep it at work.
Oh, it's right here. Yes.
Your book.
Is it on?
Right there.
Okay.
There it is. I am with you. Oh,
I am with you.
Phenomenal.
This came out of that first night because my doctor got me through that night. So these are letters. I call them love letters to cancer patients. It's really directed at a newly diagnosed cancer person. And it's 42, 48, I don't remember, stories of individuals who've gone through cancer. Some of them are famous people, some of them are not. And they're just telling you what gets them through the night, what helps them to come to terms with that they have cancer and how to live a better life with it. So I love it. I love it. A lot of hospitals have it in there.
It is. And if I'm not mistaken,
yes,
those were the words that your doctor said.
Oh, I forgot to say that. Okay.
Well, I'll keep you on track.
We had the best ending, right? My doctor, the guy who walks on water in my life. So he said to me, the first thing he said to me, thank you, Carol. He said, yours is a very bleak diagnosis and it has a really rough prognosis. But I want you to know I am with you. And that's the title of the book.
Yeah.
So and those four words, it's like my husband can say, I love you. My kids can say it, but it's like, I am with you, goes to a deeper place in me, and I think most of us understand what that means.
You know what? The words just off the top of my head they're connecting words. I love you is I can love you from afar, but when I say I'm with you, then I'm connecting with you, and
absolutely,
it's
that was the mantra, of my whole thing. And I really believed he was. And I was the feeling that the mission of my organization is no one will ever go through cancer alone. And he, with his goodness and the love of my family and friends, I never felt alone. And I'm always concerned about people who are going through cancer alone, and how we can reach out and how they can be helped to reach out to us, for the healing that we all want to have and share.
Well, it's interesting because when I kind of typed up the title of this, I kind of alluded to, I said, going through cancer, and then a dash, I just wrote that you are not alone.
Right.
Is really kind of, to me, is what, again, your work is all about. And just I feel it in my heart, and you just come across as this incredibly, kind of, I don't know, I want to say guide, because you put all of these resources around, to help guide people where they can find what these incredible resources are. So,
yeah, I'm going to make it easy for them. I want to give them the links, the phone numbers, everything, and to find out about these camps for their kids. The retreats for you can go on these wonderful vacations for free, because there are so many people out there who want to give.
Yeah.
And I think, we get through this gloom and doom about what's going on right now. Just tap into how many people are willing to offer you their hands and their hearts.
And I think another really important point, just to add on to that in the last moment we have, is to say, and accept the help when people put it there to you.
Well, it's like when people ask you, well, how can I help? And you say, oh, I'm fine. No, you're not. You need help. You need someone to do the finances for you. You need someone to clean your room. You just grab it and take it in, because they feel better when they're helping. I feel much better when I'm helping. And I mean, when you're through with your chemo, they will not leave their tuna casseroles on the front porch anymore, right? So use it. It's better. It's everybody feels better. Yeah, it works.
Well, thank you so much. I told you the 28 minutes would fly by, and I don't know if it feels like that, but it does to me. It feels like we just started talking 5 minutes ago. So just give the name one more time of the website, because I'm going to put it up so people will actually see it as well.
Nancy'sList.org. Org is just for nonprofit, but Nancy, NancysList.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. No, thank you so much, Nancy. Thank you to everybody. We got a heart from Lasani, that she popped up a comment here. So thank you for tuning in. And I wish you some cooler weather there in Texas.
Me too.
All right. Have a good night.
Thank you, dear.